Hi guys, I'm Anita and I'm back with another video. Today it's time for my Monday reads, which is where I talk about the books that I read over the past week, what I'm planning on reading into the next week, and what I'm currently reading. Basically just a Friday reads, but on a Monday. I ended up having a really good reading week last week. I didn't think that it would be that great when I started the weekend, but I ended up reading a whole lot, especially yesterday, but I'll get into that later. My plans for the week was to read 1,478 pages, and I ended up reading a total of 1,582 pages, so I read more than my initial goals for myself, which was really great. I didn't finish all the books that I wanted to, but I did make more progress in one book, and I read something from other books that I didn't plan on reading over the week. So yeah, I guess I met all of the goals I set for myself except one book, and I read a total of 4. I finished a total of 4 books. The first book I finished last week that I haven't already talked about because I finished Night Broken last Monday, but I talked about it in my last video. But I did finish Kings of the Wyld by Nicholas Eames. This is the first book in the... what is the name? The Band? What is it? I forgot the name of the series, but it's the first in it now has a second book that came out last year, and it follows these rusty, retired band of heroes who haven't been doing any fighting or anything for a long time. And once when they find that one of the band members' daughter has gone missing and is possibly in very grave danger, the father to that girl convinces the other men from the group that they need to regather, and suddenly they are back in the old gang and they're trying to do everything they can to save this girl, and it changes things and starts a new war and all of these things. It has very specific type of humor that is definitely not for everyone, and I think that's why some of my personal friends really didn't enjoy this one, because the humor really fell flat for them, and I understand that a lot. Personally, I didn't have anything against the humor, so I ended up more or less enjoying this, and I think on the second time around I really enjoyed the audio narration of the audio, and that helped me a lot as well. And I think I enjoyed the fact that we weren't following any like they were a bit rusty, and they didn't have the same techniques they used to have, and everything didn't come as easy to them as it did when they were younger, and I thought that was a really good gimmick in the book, and I'm definitely interested in reading Bloody Rose now. So I ended up giving this 4 out of 5 stars. I ended up enjoying it more than I thought I would, because last year when I put it down I wasn't super into it. I don't remember why, or it was because I was reading so many things and not sure about it, but I'm happy I put it down for a bit so I could go into it with a fresh mind, and yeah, so happy I did that. The next thing that I finished was Don't Let Go by Harlan Coben. This is probably my least favorite read of the week, or it definitely is. This was part of my genre TBR project where I'm trying to read some mysteries, and this is a general thriller. It follows, it's set in a small town, and this main character is trying to solve the murder of his twin sister, if I remember correctly, and her boyfriend, who were brutally murdered, and they never found out who the killer was. And now he's trying to figure this out. He's a police chief, private investigator type of person, and yeah, it has its moments where I thought it was really well written, and I had moments where I was a bit bored with it. But my main gripe, I think, with this one was that I ended up guessing who the killer was pretty early on. I figured the whole thing out, and that's a little sad when you're reading a thriller. So I ended up giving this 3 out of 5 stars. Now we're getting into the part that I wasn't sure I was going to finish. But let's start out with the first thing, and that is Grey Sister by Mark Lawrence. This is, I listened to this in audio. This is a Booktubesff Awards nominee in the fantasy category, and I read it because of that mostly, but also because I really enjoyed Red Sister last year when I read it, and this was no different. I really enjoy being back in this world. I really enjoyed the characters. I like the fact that these are nuns who are assassins, and it's just a really fun concept. And I enjoy the magical elements to the story, the magic system, and I think that Mark Lawrence has a really good storytelling way, and I like that it's a lot grittier than your usual fantasy. It's not for everyone because of that, but I definitely enjoy it, and it's difficult to talk about a sequel without spoiling what has happened in it, but I definitely end up enjoying it. It was a 4 to a 4.5 stars. I haven't really decided exactly on my rating yet, except that it's there around. I think I liked it better than Kings of the Wyld, so that's why I'm on possibly a 4.5 stars for this one. The last and final thing that I finished is my favorite read of the week, and that is The Calculating Stars by Mary Robinette Kowall. I love this one. I didn't think that I would finish this weekend, but I ended up reading 250 or almost 300 pages yesterday. What did I put down? Yeah, I read 267 pages of this book yesterday. And so I was really into this. I couldn't put it down. Whenever I picked it up, I was fully immersed in it. And as you can see, I tapped a lot of things in this one because so many things. Anyway, this book, let's talk about what it's about. This book is an alternative history set in 1956. Where meteor has struck down in the Atlantic Ocean, and which immediately causes earthquakes and floods and all of these different things all over the world. Actually, it causes problems in all of the places, but especially on the eastern coast of the United States, because it's not very far off the coast from there. But what this does is that they find out that because of the size of the meteor and how it's going to affect the nature, it will start out by being really, really cold and wintry, and the average temperature on Earth will drop drastically, and then it will end up rising unbearably high, so you couldn't be able to live on the planet in a few years' time. And so they decide they need to do a mission to try colonizing the moon and start living up there. And obviously, to colonize the moon, you can't only have men up there. So the women in this one is trying to persuade the men that they are needed in this program as well, that they need to go into space to try and help colonizing the moon, so that women also know in the future that they are safe when they do this, and they don't have to be afraid of going to space, basically. And yeah, so this follows this young woman called Elma, who is married to Nathaniel, and she is a pilot. She grew up, she's an admiral's daughter, and she's a pilot and served in the Second World War, and she's a mathematician. She's a genius when it comes to maths. So she's been working on the space. She's working in the space program as a computress is what they call it, because of her math affinities. Is that what it's called? But alongside that, she's trying to convince the crew that they need to have women going into space, and she's very eager to be going because she loves flying. It's a favorite thing of hers, and she would do anything to go into space. And so that is the basic story of this, and I just loved every single moment of this. I love the characters. The main character is amazing. Her relationship with her husband is amazing. And she had her dynamics with her friends, the group of friends that she makes, and her brother and some other family members that shows up later in the book is just incredible. And I can't wait to read the sequel to this one, because this was just amazing, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and that's why I knew I couldn't give Grey Sister higher than 4.5 stars. But I love this one, and I highly recommend it to anyone who have thought about reading this. Definitely pick it up. But also, if you are new to science fiction, I think it's a good place to start, because it's not very difficult to follow. I think it's explained in a really great way, so you don't need to have any knowledge to space travels at all. I think it's explained in a very an easy way, and because of the math, I think it made it a little more interesting for me, because I do know math a little bit. That's the only part of the science I might know. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed this one, and the characters were amazing, and it was also quite diverse. I mean, the main character is Jewish, and there are a lot of people of color. There were Brazilian and some Taiwanese, but I love this one. I gave it 5 stars and I highly recommend it. And so I had a really good week, both rating wise and book wise, and now I'm going to get into the books that I'm planning on reading over the next week, because I still have a lot of books that I didn't touch last week. The only thing apart from these things that I've worked on is Real Murders by Charlene Harris. I read the first 3 chapters of this, which is about 30 pages. And so I have about 145 pages left of that book. And I also listened to the first 45 minutes of The Poppy War, which means I have about 518 pages left of this book. And those are the books that I worked on last week. I also still have 110 pages to read from The Rook by Danielle O'Malley. And yeah, I don't think I'm gonna finish this week, but I'm not sure. I might try and finish it this weekend, but I haven't really decided yet. I haven't touched When the Sky Fell on Splendor either. And this one I still have 289 pages left. Yeah, the first thing I want to finish is Real Murders by Charlene Harris. I'm going to try and finish that over the next 2 days, because this will finish my Defense Against the Dark Arts Owl. If not, I have a graphic novel I can read quickly for that one. I also have a graphic novel I am reading currently that will fit for my Transfiguration Owl. So I will manage to finish the owls, I'm sure of that. I will make a priority of it if I can see that I can finish Real Murders tomorrow, for sure. But I'm going to try and finish it this week anyway, because it's only 145 pages and it would be nice to have it off my TBR. The next one I have put down to read over the next week and finish is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. As I said, I listened to 45 minutes of this. It was way less than I expected to, but I don't mind too much, because at least I read something. I am going to be listening to it over the next few days, and hopefully on Sunday I will have finished it. But I don't know. It's 9.5 hours long, and I've only listened to 45 minutes now, so I have almost 9 hours left. And yeah, we'll see how it ends up going. Another book that I'm planning on finishing this week, hopefully over the next 2 days, is Into the Fire by Janine Frost. This is the 4th and final book in the Night Prince series, and I have started it today, and I don't know if I'm 3 hours into the audio in real time, or if it was 3.5 hours. But yeah, that's around where I am now. Hopefully tomorrow I'll be able to listen to more, but I don't know at this point. It's difficult for me to determine whether I have a lot of reading time or I don't. Another book that I want to finish, hopefully at least read at least 300 pages of, is Temptation Ridge by Robin Carr. This is the next book in the Virgin River series, and it's the first book from my May TBR that I want to dive into, just so I can get started on that pretty easily. And it was first on my TBR, so it's like, yeah, why not just start from one end and go through it like that. And then I have put down to read about 85 pages of Christine by Stephen King, because by Wednesday I'm starting on the May reads, and I am planning on trying to read 17 pages per day, and that will equal to about 85 pages over 5 days. And then I have put down to read 75 pages of Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett for the same reason Stephen King. I am planning on reading a little bit from this every day in May, and we'll see how that ends up going. All in all, this means I'll need to read a total of 1,463 pages, which is about the same amount I put down last week. And I think that's a pretty good amount. I'm challenging myself a little bit, but without it being overwhelming. That's what I wanted to say. Anyway, let me know in the comments down below how your week went, and did you read anything interesting over the past week? And have you read any of the books that I've been talking about today, and what were your thoughts on them? And also let me know if you're planning on picking any of the books up after what I've said about them. I would also always like to know if I inspire you to pick something up. And yeah, if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video very, very soon. Goodbye!